the story of the man at the pool is a very interesting story when we decide to look at it from the depths of its very conceptualization. Why? Because this man has been sick for 38 years. And every day for 38 years, he has been coming to the pool, paralyzed and sick. What I ask myself is this: was there no one to put him there for those 38 years? He did not live by the pool. I am sure there were people who were taking him there, but could be these people did not have the courage or did not have time to put him at the pool. They were busy with their own things. And this And in these lonely struggles, like this man at the pool, there is a lot of desperation and helplessness. There is nothing or nowhere we can find help. But there is also something very unique about this man, that he never gave up. For 38 years, he persevered. For 38 years, he was very consistent. For 38 years, he refused to give up because he hoped that someday, one day, he will receive his healing. And that is why this morning I welcome all of us to reflect on the perseverance and resilience and consistency of this man at the pool. When we look at his life, we see that there are things that do not matter sometimes in life. Sometimes how long we have suffered is not important. The nature of our paralysis is not important. As long as we persevere, as long as we are consistent, as long as we are resilient and we refuse to give up. And that's why today God is calling upon each and every one of us that we must refuse to give up when we have challenges in life, but always seek the presence of God. And one day, one time, God will step into our situations and God will change our story. If you look at successful people over the world, there is something unique about those who have succeeded. They have not succeeded because they are rich. They never succeeded because they have gone to school more than others. They don't even succeed because they are more intelligent. But success is actually embedded on our ability to persevere, our ability to be consistent, and our ability to refuse to give up. That's why this morning, God is calling upon each and every one of us not to give up in the face of paralyzing experiences in our lives. And I'm sure in one way or another, we meet paralyzing experiences. Sometimes you are economically paralyzed. You have all these things you want to do, but you cannot do them. Sometimes you are emotionally paralyzed. We are sinking in depressive moments. Sometimes we are intellectually or spiritually paralyzed. But today we see a God who steps into the life of a paralyzed man and changes his story forever. Why? Not because he is paralyzed, but because he has persevered. And the gospel is very clear that there were many people there, invalids, paralyzed, but this particular one was healed because he persevered. He refused to give up. Good things will come to our lives when we refuse to give up. And that's why the first reading is actually encouraging each and every one of us to continue consistently to live in the presence of God. It begins with a very hopeless sin. But slowly, God is bringing this water. Water is rising from one level to another until it becomes overwhelming. And what happens when the water is overwhelming? It starts to give life. I think one time I did share that anytime we read about water in the book of Ezekiel, he is alluding to two things: the grace of God and the Spirit of God. And the message of the first reading is that when we persevere and stand in the Lord, mind you, Ezekiel was standing and these things were happening. When we stand in the Lord, the grace of God and the Spirit of God will overwhelm our lives. It will flood our lives with blessings, and it will also give life to each and every one of us. Therefore, today, let us pray for two things: the grace always to stand in the Lord at all times of our lives. And as we stand, let us persevere. Let us refuse to give up. And that is the message of Lent. Jesus refuses to give up doing good. And when I was just coming for this Mass, there is a thought that came into my mind that actually salvation history is God's stepping in into our lives. The incarnation, God is bringing Jesus into our situations. The crucifixion, God is bringing Jesus into our situation to save us. We read about the Old Testament. It is the intervention of God. And this, I think, in my own personal opinion, tells us that God who is present will always intervene. And since he will always intervene, we must never give up. We must be consistent with our prayer life, with the many things we are doing. Let us not give up because we have not seen results, however long it takes. But let us continue persevering until God appears. Kawuono Nyasaye luongowa mondo wabed jogo matimo kinda e gigo duto matimore e ngimawa. Nikech waneno e Injili ma kawuono ka Jesus chango ng'ama ne oseng'ol kendo ng'ama ne konye onge kuom higni 38. Wan seche moko wasebedo gi chandruok dweche matin to wasemana ol. Kawuono Nyasaye nyisowa ni ok ojwang' jogo motimo kinda kuome. Emomiyo walem mondo Nyasaye wanema matimo kinda, to moloyo ndalo mag tweyogi nyaka Jesus bi mondo reswa. Wach maber ni e ndalo mag tweyo Jesus biro kendo reso ngimawa. Mane momiyo walemo kendo wakwa Nyasaye mondo donji e ngimawa kendo res ngimawa. Our prayer today: God, step into my life and do something according to your will.